Okay, we want to welcome everybody to the 2024 version of the state tournament preview show from TGCA. We have a panel of, I don't know what we're going to call expertise. I don't know what we're calling this, but we've got some local coaches from around the state. Local's not really around the state. It's just around, I don't know. But all that being said, we've got some good coaches from around the state to talk about this year's state tournament, starting this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 29th of February, March 1st, and March 2nd. We'll go in my screen order. In my top left from C.E. King High School. He's been head coach for 17 years in high school. He's the chair of our basketball committee. He's taken 4 different programs to the playoffs. From C.E. King, we have Art Prevost. To my bottom left on my screen, I have a coach who's been there coaching for 15 years. This is her 5th year as head coach. She's been to the regional tournament appearance 3 times. Currently the head coach at Gunter High School, Jordan Sarten. To my right on my screen, we have I don't have years. She didn't let me do this, but a head coach at Sunnyvale. She's taken 6 trips to state tournament with 2 state championships with 3 different programs. Jill McDill from Sunnyvale High School. And at the bottom, we have our vice chair for our basketball committee, coaching at Kearns. She's been coaching for 20 plus years. She's taken Kearns to state in 2012 and 14. Denise Lincoln from Kearns High School. And I am Brad Blalock. I'm the girls basketball coach at Christoval. And I'm the past president of TGCA, and so I'll be kind of moderating this group. We're really excited to talk about the state tournament today and the teams that are here. Just a couple of quick notes as I kind of look through all the different teams and who we have coming. It shows the depth in the state of Texas that we have. We have some really good programs, and I don't know if you call anything upset in the regional tournament. It was an exciting day in the regional tournament. There were a lot of teams that across the state that have pedigree and have been here before, and we have some newbies here, and we're really excited about this. And I know everybody knows this, but when the regional tournaments are completed, we take the UIL takes the top two teams, and then they flip for seeds 3 and 4. And so while when we talk about some of these matchups, we look at some teams that, man, we'd really like to see what it looked like could be in the final. That's just a coin flip, and it's set up that way to have some good parity. I think UIL does a great job with this. And if teams take care of business and they win the games that they're supposed to in their pre-district, in their district, and obviously throughout the playoffs and have a better record, they've got a better chance to see a lower seed. But once you get to San Antonio, there's no bad teams. Everybody's good. Everybody competes. And so, we're going to get going here. We're going to start with our Thursday, February 29th, 1A semifinal games at 8:30 a.m. Our first matchup that we have is going to be Newcastle coming in at 33-1. This is their first appearance to the state tournament this year, coached by Ryan Dollar. And they're going to be going up against Westbrook, and I believe that says 28-9 is their record. And this is their second appearance at the state tournament, coached by Jeff Bontrager. They're 2 years in 2021, 2024. So we're going to go and talk about this. We're going to start with Mr. Prevost. You're on the top left of my screen. Let's tell me about what you think about from this matchup here with Newcastle and Westbrook.
Well, one of the things I did this year was I kind of start following every division and saw that Newcastle, anytime you can win 33 games in a season and have 1 loss, speaks volumes and says you got a good group of kids and good chemistry. Westbrook, I know that's their second time around. I think that'd be a great matchup. Looks like to me, and I'm just jumping off for the ledge here, I'm going to say Newcastle, just because I just think when you can win 33 games, that speaks volumes, and a veteran coach that's been there.
Okay, let's move on to Coach Sarten at Gunter. What do you think about this matchup, ma'am?
Honestly, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree. I think it's gonna be Newcastle. Maddie Dollar, I mean, she's phenomenal. Like, she was at Anson and then last year at Martins Mill. She really is a heck of a player, and I know that she's a leader. She's matured this year being a junior. He also has a couple of other players around her. Number 10, Maya Cabrera, she's a senior. Coach Dollar said that she's like super great inside and outside. She really stretches the floor, and obviously she's 6 foot, so she helps protect the paint, especially in for that 1A classification group. Same thing with number 1, Cameron Mallory. She is a freshman. She's our point guard, and he's talked about her like really growing up this year, and she's been able to put the ball in the right place, obviously get it to her shooters. Having that leadership with both Cabrera and Dollar really helps them. I think that they run great team defense. They run man. I heard that Westbrook runs a couple of different defenses, but I think, just having those 3 threats offensively is going to be pretty tough. I think it'll be a good game. I heard that Westbrook has some shooters, and they've got a taller freshman that can play inside and outside pretty solid, but I'm going to go with Newcastle as well.
Okay. Let's go, Coach Lincoln. What are your thoughts about this game, this Newcastle and Westbrook game?
Well, Newcastle with Coach Dollar, he was there with Martinsville, and Maddie Dollar is a really great player. He did a whole lot of the defense when he was when he was at Mill. Played. I think he made a difference on the defense side. I'm not sure about Westbrook. I really don't know much about them, but I do. I think Newcastle.
Okay, Coach McDill, what are your thoughts on this one?
That's exactly what I had as well. Talking about Coach Dollar and Maddie is what I had down. And with 33-1, again, I think that they're definitely the favorite here. It looks like they've been ranked, high all year as well. So I think I'll go with Newcastle on that one.
Yes. Okay. Just some homework. I think Coach Bontrager's been around a while, and he's done a good job wherever he's been. He's been on the boys' side, on the girls' side. So I think he has a good. He's got a good resume. I look at a couple of the games that they reached out, and they played Turkey Valley, also another state tournament team. Looking at Robert Lee, lost in the regional finals. Westbrook has played their share of teams to match up with this game. There's definitely a strength of schedule that Westbrook did a good job with. Looking at the roster, Tay Morris from Westbrook, she's their best player. She's great at mid-range shots. She came in, her and what's her name? Rainey Rich, great inside. They've got a good inside-outside presence. They've beaten some really good teams, and they beat Huckabee, who is a team that was Newcastle that beat Huckabee. I'm sorry, but I see that it's been on both sides there. Had some really tough competition there, and you look at Newcastle as well, beating, having some really being battle tested and being able to get into this matchup. And so I think this will be a really good game in the first round, but I think there's good players on both sides. Like everybody said, this Maddie kid, she's averaging 24 points a game. So this is going to be a good matchup, and we'll talk about some more picks in just a second. As we move to our game 2, our second semifinal, we have Turkey Valley and Natchez. Valley located outside of Kittiquay, Texas, which most people don't even know where that's at, somewhere between around Floydada. And they've had a pretty good little run. And then you got Natchez and Andy Snyder, this is their 12th tournament appearance. Valley's it's their 4th, but it's been about 14 years since they've been back. So we'll start with you, Coach Sarten. Let's talk about this matchup between Valley and Natchez.
Honestly, I mean, Natchez obviously has the experience, going there for 4 years now in a row. I think that they have a really good junior class, I think, that has been there since freshman and obviously taken them to the state tournament all 3 of those years. I heard that they have a really good big. She tore her ACL, so I think that hurt them, but I feel like it also kind of helps them a little bit because they have more to play for. They have more of a why for their teammates. But I'm a West Texas kid, so I got to go with Valley. I just think they're a big team, and I feel like they play really well together. And I love Nazareth. Nazareth is just like rich in tradition in basketball, and beating them 51-36 really speaks volumes, I think, because that's a great team and great coaching and just kids that have obviously been in the state tournament for a long time. So my pick is going to be Valley.
Okay. Coach McDill, what are your thoughts on this game?
So I agree. Wow, Turkey Valley to beat Nazareth, 51-36, that's really impressive. With Netchus, I look at that they've gone to the state tournament 21, 22, 23, and now 24. So if you're in high school and play girls basketball, you've been to the state tournament, and that's wild. So I'm going to go with Netchus because maybe the experience there, they're not going to be shocked and they're not going to just be, happy to get there. They've all been there. So, except maybe if you're a freshman, it's your first time, but they, for the most part, they've all been there. So maybe experience on this one, both great teams, but I'm going to go with Netchus.
Okay. Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I've been knowing Coach Snyder for a long time, playing over here in this area a lot. He's very a great coach, very knowledgeable, been there years. Last year he talked about it when he was down there, saying he had everybody back. So I think the experience is very critical, and I believe Natchez will probably overcome on that one.
Okay. Coach Prevost, what is your thought on this matchup?
Oh man, they said everything. Why you got me going last? Doing a little research, Turkey Valley, no question. I think that you beat Nazareth, and just with history speaks volume, and to win that game, handily. Andy Snyder is one of my good friends. Been knowing him, 10 or 15 years. Just love what he does. That's a man that does everything on that school. Knows every one of those kids 4 times in a row. I'm not gonna pick that one. I'm gonna just let the clock do the work on that one. It's a toss-up for me.
I'll say this. If you look at Valley's record, they have won 36 games in a row. There's something to be said for that kind of win streak. They've lost their first 2. They lost to Amarillo Tascosa, who lost in the regional semifinals to Argyle in double overtime, and then you lose to Shallowater, who's here. So I think there's something to be said for that. I got to see them play at the regional tournament this weekend, and holy piss. I'm sorry to say that word, but they are so long. Their length is – they beat a really good Borden County team. They beat a great Nazareth team. If I'm talking about Valley, their length is really, really important for them. They're not going to beat themselves. This is a team that's predicated on they're going to make you mess up, and they're very they rely on their strengths, and they have good outside shooting. I'd say if there's a flaw on the Valley side, it might be depth. They don't go to the bench as much, but this kid, what's her name? Oh gosh. Trinity Schluter, holy cow. That kid can go. She's a shot blocker. She's going to alter shots. And then, going back to Netchus, I'll agree with the points about the experience and being there. I got to play a personal team that played Douglas, who they beat, and Douglas made it to I believe the regional final in Region 2, or maybe it was 3, I can't remember, but I think Andy does a really good job, and to beat that quality team, this is a very good game, and I'm not going to pick just yet, but I do think that Valley's might have the upper hand in that one. So we'll move on to 3A time. And as we jump into the 3A semifinals, we've got our first matchup is Huntington and Columbus, and this is going to be a 1:30 game on Thursday. And this is two teams that have combined 3 state tournament appearances, and they're both within this year and last year. So rather new to the state tournament, Huntington and Columbus. And we'll talk about this game first. We'll go and start with Coach Lincoln. Let's get your thoughts on this first matchup.
Okay, I believe that Huntington was the one that beat Fairfield down, if I'm not mistaken. I was thinking I look back. And Fairfield, they weren't the team they were last year, but they still have a lot of experience from last year. Very athletic, great coaches. So beating them out, I was kind of shocked because I didn't know anything about them. So I think that beating Fairfield was a big go for me. So I don't know anything about the other ones. I haven't been keeping up with them.
Okay. So I guess we're saying Huntington then?
Yes, sir.
All right. Perfect. All right. Coach McDill, let's get your thoughts on this matchup.
Yeah, I honestly, I just looked up their records and coaches and things like that. I've seen, Fairfield the last couple of years and knew they're ranked #1 in the state, and that they beat them in that regional final at 42-41. So that means they must be hot. They beat a really, really good team and a very experienced team. So because of that, I think I'm going to go with Huntington on that one.
Huntington, okay. Coach Prevost, what is your thoughts on this matchup?
I will echo the same thing. I know a lot about Fairfield just because of them being in there last year, and a couple of our kids played with their kids on the AU circuit, and knew that they were just loaded and really wanted to have they ended up losing last year in the state, Epic State. I know they were a little salty, but for Huntington, I mean, hats off to them. I mean, that's a great win, very well coached. Anytime you can hold a team under 50 points, I think that says a lot about your defensive prowess. Columbus saw them last year in the state tournament. Really enjoyed watching them play. Know that they really got basketball excited down there again. But I will give a little 2 thumbs up to Huntington.
Coach Sarten, I know that you have some familiarity with Columbus, so let's get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so we played Columbus in Lorena tournament early November. And obviously, I mean, they have experience going to state. So I agree. I think that definitely helps any team out when you've been there. They are a bigger team. Their guards are bigger. I feel like they really controlled the tempo of the game. And, pressure didn't really hurt them as much. I think they have a really good point guard. But honestly, I'm going to have to go with everybody else. I think Huntington is going to win this one. Just, we played Rice, and I know Fairfield beat Rice 62-60, and then Huntington turned around and beat Fairfield in overtime. And those are just like 2 really solid teams. Sanaya Burks is unreal for Rice, and then Fairfield beating her in that team. And then Huntington beating Fairfield. I think that there's a lot to say about kind of like blind confidence, I guess, like going in and really believing that you can do it. So I think Huntington wins this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, and I like your statement about the Columbus getting back-to-back. That's a big deal. Columbus made an effort, and they went out and played some West Texas teams. They played Alvarado from North Texas, played Levelland, played Gunter. They were able to get some good competition in that tournament. That's great. And like you said, Columbus is huge. They've got 7 players that are 5'7" or taller. That's tough. I mean, they're going to really own the rebounding edge in a lot of games. I got to see Huntington play, and I'm going to say it again, holy piss. I mean, they are just dynamic. They're all over the place. Saw them in the Tenneha tournament, and golly, I'm glad I didn't match up with them. But they're very balanced. They played a good Martins Mill team, played a good Fairfield team. They're battle tested. I think Huntington is very scrappy and very defensive oriented, and I think this is going to be a good matchup. Let's move over to our second one. Our second 3A semifinal at 3:00. We have Emory Reigns at 36-2, making their first state title appearance this year, going up against a veteran team of the state tournament for their 8th appearance. I don't want to say veteran, but they've been here more often than not with their 8th appearance. Shallowater, coached by Kurt Richardson. Let's go and jump into this. Coach Sarten, let's get your thoughts on the Shallowater Reigns matchup.
I think this is going to be a phenomenal matchup. I think this is going to be a really fun game. Shallowater, growing up in Lubbock, like Shallowater was the team to beat, just notoriously good and known for basketball. But Reigns this year, I mean, super athletic team. They're quick. They run a lot of different defenses, and they're also big. They have a lot of length, and they've got some really great shooters. I love number 13 for Reigns, JC Campbell. She's a senior. She is so athletic, and she's aggressive on both ends of the floor. She can shoot. She's a great driver. And then they have a really good shooter and their senior number 1, Haley Robertson. But also Shallowater, beating Jim Ned is huge. And they did it. And so I feel like talking to Hunter Cooley and Tyler Helms telling me that Shallowater right now is playing with a lot of confidence. They're really aggressive, and they just continue to go at you. So I think this is going to be a really fun game between both of them. I don't know. I have no idea who's going to win. I think Reigns has the better record, and they're in my region, so I'll root for Reigns, but Shallowater, I think it's going to be really close, so I really don't know.
Coach Prevost, let's get your thoughts on this one.
Wow, just hearing, when you get the coaches that are from West Texas, like Coach Jordan is, and y'all West Texas folks are always a little biased, and just because they do such great basketball, but know a little bit about Reigns. the neat thing about them is, you beat a Winsboro team in the regional finals, but they only have 2 seniors. And I think that, when you got 2 seniors and it goes through them and the Robertson kid and the Campbell kid, they're very athletic, very athletic. Very coached with Coach Jenkins. Just like them. I mean, years ago, they used to be talked about in making tons of regionals and things like that, but the history of Range has always been good. Shallow water goes without saying. I just think it'll be a great game, like Coach said. I think it's going to be up and down. See some athletes, and just to pick them, just Range, just because I think that athletic will show up and show out. I think Range will end up winning that one.
Okay, Coach McDill.
Laura Jenkins, she's done an awesome job there at Reigns this year, and they just seem to be just getting more and more hot as the season has gone along. Several of my girls played with JC Campbell, and I think she's a great player and that has led them really well. To beat Winsboro, there in the regional finals is impressive. And looking at Shallow Water's record, I mean, when I start looking at their losses and who they were to, I mean, they have played a tough schedule. And so, Coach Richardson has had them just playing some really tough people. That as I look through all those, I'm like, well, I mean, he just wanted to get battle tested, it looks like, and then was able to upset Jim Ned. And we saw Jim Ned at Christmas in the tournament, and they're, solid. I mean, have been all year. And so to beat them is impressive. So I agree. This is a tough one. It's really a tough one to choose. I think I'll go with Reigns, but I think it's going to be a really good game.
Mm-hmm. Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts?
So I'm on the same page as everybody else with Shallow Water and how they have been so successful. Also, I'm here by Reigns. I've heard about Reigns, but I haven't seen them play, but I know that they play Winsboro and they beat them. Coach Jenkins is a heck of a coach. So if I have to go with somebody, I think it's going to be great to go either way, but I'm thinking maybe Emory Reigns.
Okay, appreciate that. I'm going to say this. I got to see, I asked Coach Jenkins for some film when we were about to play La Pan, and they get up and down the court. I was really impressed with what Reigns did. I know we've talked about it a little bit, but JC Campbell, that's their best player, and she makes them run. And Robertson, those 2 seniors, those are good shooters. I don't think that there's any lead not safe. And La Pan actually had a pretty good lead in that game, and those 2 shot them back into it. So that's a very deep team. Shallow Water, they had a couple of hiccups in the middle of the season, and I think if you kind of look at the first half, they had some early losses, and I think once they've started to gel and started to play together, a couple of those hiccups, they've had some injuries and just some other things. But Lindley Wright, she has just been instrumental in these close games. They had a really tough one against Canadian. She did a good job. She had some really clutch points against Jim Ned, and this is a team that's playing for each other. And I think, as I've learned from my mentor, Jill McDill, I'm sorry I have to say that, but a team that plays for each other is it's tough to compete against other ones. And so this is going to be, I agree with everybody, it's going to be a really good matchup. So we're going to jump to 5A now. Let's go to our 5A time. And we're going to see, as I've kind of looked through all these appearances, between these 4 teams, we have 16 state title appearances. I guess it's really not the most. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we've got some good matchups here. So in the first game, at the 7:00 game on Thursday, the 29th, we've got Frisco Liberty at 32-7. Coached by Ross Reedy, going against Richmond Randall in their inaugural appearance. I don't know how long this school's been open, but this is their first appearance, coached by Christy Westbrooks. And so we're going to lead off with Coach McDill. Let's get your thoughts on this matchup, ma'am.
Okay. So with Frisco Liberty, also, obviously they have a lot of experience being there. Seeing that they won in 20 and 23, they were there in 21 as well. So again, a lot of these kids have been there, and like we've said, I mean, I think that's hard to not realize that is a bit of an advantage, I think. It can be. And Coach Reedy does an awesome job with them. I know Coach Reeves, who coaches with me, watched them on Friday night and was really impressed with the sophomore JC Abby Really impressed with her and with number 0, a 6'1" guard, Isaiah. He said that both of those guards are just legit, really, really played well. You look at their losses, again, they've played a really tough schedule and have shown they can play with the best teams in the state. I don't know a whole lot about Richmond Randall, honestly. I'm sure Coach Westbrooks has done an amazing job. It looks like, this is a number 2 against a number 5 ranking. I mean, I feel like Frisco Liberty, I'm going to give them the edge just based off they've been there a bunch and seem to be playing really well right now.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this one?
Not too familiar with bigger schools. I really haven't played too many big schools the last couple of years, but I know Frisco, like, again, I've been there many times. I don't know anything about the other, but I do think that Frisco, with the experience and the athletic ability they have, I feel that they probably will pull this one out. But I'm not really familiar on the other school, and I'm sorry I didn't do much research. I'm not in front of my computer as well, so I'm going with Frisco though.
Okay, Coach Prevost, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I know that I'm gonna call you out a little bit, Brad, that Coach Reed is your busty, and you came from that area. So it goes without saying how good Liberty is. They got probably the #1 high school recruit in the country, and JC has another young lady that's, I think she's committed to sign with North Texas, who was MVP of the state tournament last year, who I just think is just tough as nails. But let me say something about Richmond Randall. I know Coach Westbrook pretty well, and she's her last 3 wins which tells me a lot about her team. Last 3 wins were by 10 points over Foster, who has just been a very, very good team down here in the Houston area. Henderson, she won by 4, and then beat a very well coached Barbers Hill, which is Coach Brian Harris, who we know won a state title at Manville. I know that she has 6 seniors because the school is relatively new, but she opened the school, and I think that those 6 seniors, which is they got some twins, the King sisters, who are really, really, really athletic. Then she has another kid named Precious Candler, Jade Hyperlight, a young lady named I cannot pronounce, and then Natia T. She's got some players, and I think what's really good about her with Coach Westbrook, they are very well coached. She knows how to take their eye out of the ball. If they can't run with you, they're not going to run. They're going to try to make it a half-court game. So I think it'll be a good game, and I know that Liberty is coming with all the hype, but I would expect that to be a very, very good game.
Appreciate that, sir. Coach Sarten, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I did, Coach Ross Reedy is my mentor. I was his assistant, learned so much from him. Seriously, I think one of the greatest coaches, in our game. Like I really do. I give him a hard time, but I really truly believe it. I think he's the next Joe Lombard. And listening to, what Coach just said about Randall wanting to play in the half court, Ross Reedy does a really good job of controlling teams and controlling tempo, and typically he beats teams in the half court. But these past years, especially with number 3 JC Abbey, who we've talked about, and then number 5 Kiara, the MVP from last year, like, he's allowed them some more freedom, and they run, and they're big, and they're athletic. And it's really cool to kind of see Ross's game change with his athletes. And I just think Ross is a phenomenal coach. So I'm going to go with Frisco Liberty.
Okay. These are all really some really good points. I'll say this, and we hadn't probably mentioned this at the beginning, but kids like Aaliyah Chavez at Monterey and JCB at Liberty are what's making women's basketball just awesome. The crowds that show up to see these women play, young women, and it's really cool. And I would expect that there's going to be some good fan support at the Alamo Dome. We've got some local teams near San Antonio there, but it's fun to see players like JC get to play, or like Aaliyah Chavez. Unfortunately, she didn't get to make it down here, but it's really good for girls basketball. It's good for our state, and it shows the parity that there are teams that can beat these these phenomenal players, and there's some really good coaches out there. I'll say this about Richmond Randall. They've won 21 in a row. And I know we're talking about how new they are and they've got 6 seniors on the team, but they've also held 19 of their games. They've held their opponent under 40 points. So they're very scrappy and defensive oriented. That Precious kid I was just looking up, she gets after you on defense. And so I think Randall's done what they're supposed to do, and they've handled their schedule. It doesn't matter where they're at, where they said they've taken care of business. And that is going to be, Ross is going to have his hands full trying to overcome some of that speed and quickness that Richmond's going to present. And so I think they're going to do a good job on the defensive side. I will say, getting to coach opposite of Ross and getting it for the last couple of years, there's no doubt that, and I think Coach Sarten hit it best, that he's adapted his game and he's added what maybe he might not have done 4 or 5 years ago, but he's got a lot of depth. Kiara Roseby, like Coach Prevost said, was MVP of last year's state tournament. It runs through JCB. There's, good kids on that team. Judith Oluga and Lillian Johnson, good role players that come in there. But as Coach McDill said, man, that's a tough gauntlet. DeSoto, La Vegas, Summer Creek. This team is battle tested and they have the experience. And I think this is going to be a good first round semifinal game. Our second one, our last one of this day and the last one of Thursday is going to be Mansfield Timberview. This is our 8:30 game. I really hate that this is 8:30 for all the people that go to bed early. It's a great game. We got Mansfield Timberview coached by Kit Martin. This is her 6th Timberview's 6th appearance at the state tournament, going against Cammie Williamson, and she's continuing the legacy at Cedar Park has done. This is their 3rd appearance, and they're going to have a rocking crowd being close to San Antonio. And so, Coach Sarten, let's start with you on this matchup between Timberview and Cedar Park.
I mean, I think Timberview is gonna win this one. I think that they're really quick. They play fast. They score off of the boards. And so like it's very hard, I feel like, to keep them from getting a rebound. I feel like she has some really key players that are big. They can attack the rim. They've got some shooters from the outside, and they're just fast. And I love Amarillo, and beating them, I mean, is a huge feat too. And so she's gone through some tough games. They've only lost 1. And so I think it's going to be Timberview. Cedar Park obviously has great tradition. They have 11 losses compared to 1. So my pick is going to be Timberview.
Yep. Coach Prevost, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think that's gonna, like you said, the 8:30 game. I wish that game could be earlier than that, because I think that's going to be an exciting game. Kit Kyle is one of my personal friends, over 25 years. No Kit, I've watched her have some tough times at the state tournament. I know she's geared up for this one. I talked to her today, and I told her what we were getting ready to do, and her exact words were, "You know what, Art? The 3 things about my team. We have 9 seniors. We're averaging 67 points a game. We're tough. We defend. We run. I have 4 players that average double figures. If they do what they're supposed to do, then everything's going to be fine. We know that they're world coach. We know that they're going to defend. You see her on the sideline. She looks like a little Kim Mulkey over there sometimes. She's theatrical and all this stuff. Timberview is going to be ready. Cedar Park, talked to Donnie Ott, who happened to be in my district at Summer Creek. I called him this morning about Cedar Park, and he loves Cammie to death. And the one thing I would say, that he did not leave the cupboard bare at Cedar Park. He left a very, very good team, 6 seniors. They've had some tough losses, but sometimes, when you lose those games, you grow. And that team has grown up this season. I love Kit, but I think it's just going to be one of those toss-ups. I think Cedar Park's going to be ready, and it's going to be a home game. It's going to be a home game for Cedar Park, because those folks are going to drive over that 45 minutes and pack the crowd.
Good comments. Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I feel the same way what Coach Prevost just said. Ott's been there for so long, and we've been there for some years, and done a great job with them. They're still under him, even though he's not there, but he's taught them so much. they have so much knowledge from him. But Timberview is just so athletic, so fast, so just amazing. I'm gonna have to go with Timberview. That's kind of a games that I love to watch and play and learn from. So I'm going with Timberview.
Okay. Coach McDill, your thoughts on this one?
Looking at both of the teams and both the records, they're obviously both really have a lot of great players. I will say for Timberview, beating Amarillo and then turning around and beating Argyle, I mean, both of those games were really good, tough games. To only lose one game all season. And then I think Art said they have 9 seniors.
Yes.
So I think that leadership will be key. Well, you have a bunch of people say they can't be saying maybe next year, or maybe this or that. If you have 9 kids that this is it, and that are still hungry at this point, I think that's huge. So I'm going to go with Timberview on that one.
Yeah, this is good. This is it's one of those, again, you hate that we're playing the first round, but well, let me talk about Timberview for a sec. Kit, they beat last year's state champion in Clark, and then they split with them. So that's their lone loss was Clark, and that's not a bad loss to have. But a couple of things worth noting. Cameron Wilson is the older sister. Her older sister is Kennedy Wilson, who has played on 2 of Timberview state finalist teams. So there's that. The expectation to be there is within that program. Krishan Coleman, great unsigned senior. She was the MVP of the regional tournament. She had a lot of clutch moments there in that regional tournament against Argyle and Amarillo. And then Emily Jones is really good inside threat. I mean, they're good inside out. They're battle tested, as y'all said about Amarillo. That's a really good team. Cedar Park, I don't. We're giving Donniana a lot of credit, but Cammie's done a phenomenal job, and
Yes.
to take over that is really great. She's got Kennedy Carlisle. She was on our TGCA All-Star game last year, and she's a really good inside presence. Hope Edwards is a really good player. She's the best player. She hit the 3 that sent them into overtime against Leander Glenn to help them win, and she had ice in her veins there. It was a pretty long little 3, and so this is a good team. They've been battle tested as well. I think that both teams are going to have their hands full, but I think this is going to be a really good matchup as well. We're going to head over to the other side on Friday. We're going to talk about the 2, 4, 6A basketball now, and then we'll jump into our first 2A semifinal. This is going to be on Friday, March 1st at 8:30. We've got Goldthwaite, coached by Angie Hermsmeyer. This is their 3rd state tournament appearance, but first since 2000. So it's been a minute. They're 34-3. They're going up against Martins Mill and Jay Bruce. This is their 18th state title appearance. And let's talk about this game. Coach Lincoln, let's get your thoughts to start off.
Okay, so Goldthwaite, we used to be in that region years back in 2011 and 12. They were very successful then. I haven't seen much of them lately, but I know all about Martins Mill. Been in their district for the last 4 years and been fighting, battling them in state tournament, out of state tournament to get to the state tournament. So they have a basketball factory there. It's just, I mean, it's crazy how much that community supports basketball. Jay's done a great job with them the last 2 years, continuing the success. This year, they only have 1 senior, which is Lindsay, and she's playing with a broke nose. They have so many freshmen there. I seen the game against Tenaha, and I just couldn't believe how well that was played. I really thought Tenaha was going to end up with that one, but that little 55 Nixon, the Dixon girl, she is fun to watch. I mean, they are just very, very, I don't know how would say them. They are just very great athletes. They play hard. They know how to win. Whatever they have to do, they get the job done. So I really feel this might be, I think they'll get past this one. I think it's going to be tough, but I'm going with Mill.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I muted y'all for a second. Just want to make sure. Coach McDill, let's jump to you on this matchup.
Okay, so Martins Mill, I watched that game against Tenaha, the end of that game. Oh wow, that was the regional semifinals in overtime, and I mean, they just kept fighting. Because honestly, if you saw it, it did not look like it was going to go their way, and they just kept clawing and fighting and figuring out a way, and then then made it happen. So Coach Bruce has done a great job there, I think. And then they won that semifinal and then beat Douglas in the regional finals. I think it's Kate Lindsay is a really good player who's a sophomore. Again, this is another group where these kids have gone to state 4 years in a row. And so I think that's huge as well. So that win over Tenaha was really impressive. So I'm gonna go with Martins Mill on this one.
Okay. Coach Sarten.
I honestly agree. I mean, I think Goldwaite, I heard number 24, Hope Hermsmeyer, the coach's daughter, is really good. She knows that system. And their records are really very, very similar. But I agree. I mean, all year everybody's talked about Tenaha being the team to beat, and Martins Mill beating them in a thriller. Especially being so young, they only returned one starter from last season. And I think that it is Kate Lindsay. And just a bunch of freshmen stepping up and playing hard and continuing to fight, like what Coach McDill said. I like that. So I think it's going to be Martins Mill. They just have a bunch of freshmen that don't care and are going to battle. And so I'm going to say Martins Mill.
Okay. Coach Prevost.
Wow. Just hearing it, I know Laura Holmes at Tenaha, just talked to her right before the deal, and she's heartbroken after that. But she gave a lot of credit to Martins Mills. They're just coached very well. They did the small things down the stretch to win that game. Anytime you can beat a Tenaha team who's ranked 1 and 2 all year, speaks volumes on that. So I'm gonna just push a little bit toward Martins Mills.
I think this is a good matchup. Goldthwaite, very good defensive team. They've got a lot of depth. They've taken care of business. 2 of their 3 losses came to Lorena, and that was pretty early on. Their 3rd loss came to a good Cisco team. So Goldthwaite's done what they're supposed to do, and they've taken care of business. They shoot really well. I got to see them early in the summer, and they're very well balanced. And as Coach Sarten said, that Angie's daughter Hope is really, really good. And so they've beaten a good San Saba team 3 times. You have to beat someone 3 times is tough in the regional final. And then Coach Bruce, he's done a great job. We've talked about the Tenaha win, but there's a lot of, he's battle tested. We got to see them at the Live Pan tournament. They did a really good job there, and saw them at Tenaha. They're good offensive and defensively. It's going to be a good matchup. That really is. Our second game, we've got Nakona. And Nakona this is our, what time is this? It's going to be our 10 o'clock game. This is their second appearance at state, and it's been a while since they've been here. Really good team going up against Wellington. This is their first state tournament appearance. However, Wellington, and I'll just say this, I got to see them in the regional tournament this weekend, and they've been in the regional tournament 4 straight years and finally burst through and got through it. So we'll talk to Coach Sarten here on this one first, on this Nakona-Wellington matchup.
So I think this is going to be a really good game. I like Wellington. Whenever I was at Texas prep camp, they had a really good guard, and I cannot think of her name, but I'm sure that you can tell us. But she's phenomenal. She's big, and she can play, and she's kind of mean. She's physical, and so I like that about her. And I think that they're a good team. But Nakona is unreal. Number 0, Megan Meekins, is probably the best point guard I have seen in a really long time. She is a stud. She's insanely quick. She can score. She can finish at the rim. I feel like this year she's gotten a lot better with her mid-range shot. And she is just so fast. She really reminds me a lot of Sanaya Burks. She plays super fast, but it's always under control. And I just think she's phenomenal. She sees the floor really well. I feel like I'm a fangirl right now. And she's clutch at the free throw line. Honestly, I think that number 2 helps her out a lot. I really think that she's like the Scottie Pippen to the Michael Jordan for them. And I mean, they're just good. I think if you could find a weakness, I feel like number 0, I think she's a little too unselfish at times, and she looks for her teammates a lot, which is great for her as well. But man, she's good. So I'm gonna go with Nakona.
Okay. Coach Prevost, let's get your thoughts on this one.
You know, I'm a little. I go with Coach Shorten on that. I'm a bias because obviously point guards are the key, and Megan is definitely a great floor general from Nakona. Nakona just runs. She's a general. She's a general, and I think you have to have that, especially this late. You want the ball in her hands, and you know, makes great decisions with the ball. And two things you can't coach is height and speed. Can't coach them, and she's quick on quick. So, and then Nakona being a very, very good Lipan team in the regional finals. I think that speaks volumes because Lipan is, you know, been there many a times. Now, Wellington, you know, beat Farewell, and Farewell beat our own Brad Blalock in the semis. And I know your team was very well coached, and that speaks volumes. So, you know, it's just one of those games that you have to be sitting in the seats to enjoy it. And I will be sitting there to enjoy that game.
Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this one?
The same. Beating Nakona, beating Lipan. I didn't get to see it. I wish I could have been to two places. But Nakona must be pretty decent how they played Lipan. I don't know much about Wellington, but again, I am excited, yes, to be there and see this game as well. So I'm going with. I'm gonna have to go with Nakona.
Okay. Coach McDill.
So we played Nakona this year, you know, at Christmas time, and we did a little bit of research before that game, you know, as much as you do for a tournament game. But so we knew that number 0, Megan Meekins, like you said, and number 2, Skylar Smith, they were both all region players last year. You know, one of them, let's say Megan averaged 23 points, 6.1 assists, shot 47% from the 3-point line. Skylar Smith, 17 points, 10 rebounds a game, 35% from the 3-point line. Those two guards are legit. You know, they're both really good. And I feel like, you know, and again, like a couple of y'all have said, you know, beating Lipan, it proves that you're a great team as well. They've played, you know, they played some tough people. And I feel like, nothing against Wellington, and Brad, you know, I know you've seen them and you watched them play, but we played Nakona, and I can speak to those guards really are good. So I'm going to go with Nakona on this one.
Yeah, when I look at Nakona, if you look at their schedule from December 15th to January 2nd, they played 8 of the toughest teams that you can play. They start out with Glen Rose, who loses in the regional finals, a good Bridgeport team, Nazareth, who loses in the regional finals, Shallowater, who's here. You got Jim Ned losing in the regional finals, Sunnyvale, who's regional quarters, and Decatur lost in the regional tournament. I mean, holy cow, to navigate that. I mean, that tells you how tough their schedule was. And to agree on the Megan Meekins and Miss Smith, they are really good at what they do. Wellington, they're like I don't know what animal I could use. They blend in and then they attack. I don't know what that is. There's got to be an animal that blends in with something. I don't know, but that's what they are. And Cade has done a phenomenal job. He's got a really good assistant, Shannon Fisher, who, by the way, was at the state tournament a couple of years ago, and he's on the staff. So you've got some good depth on that coaching staff. Wellington they're playing Panhandle basketball, and they play Nazareth. They played Nazareth twice, beating them. Canadian, a good Clarendon team with obviously in their district. That was tough. And then being a good new home team, Panhandle. I mean, it's very well. They've had a tough schedule as well. Coach Gunter to Presley Kane, number 2, Charlie Wilbur, number 4, and number 15, Briley Waters. Those 3 kind of make them go, and they have that depth. And kind of like we've said with other teams that have been in the regional tournament, they've been there 4 years in a row, and they finally able to punch it through. And there's no doubt, I believe that experience was what helped get them over the top and win Region 1. So I think those are 2 good teams as well. And I think it's just tough when you have a matchup of 2 good teams. We'll jump to 4A time. We're jumping here with our first semifinal. This will be at 1:30 on Friday the 1st. This is Dallas Lincoln. This is their 16th state title appearance and a 30-3 record. And we're having them going up against Waco La Vega and their 7th appearance. And This is their second in a row, 30-11. Coach McDill, you're our resident 4A coach. Let's kick off with you right now.
So, so Lincoln and La Vega, we played La Vega last year, our last game, and Lincoln, our last game this year. So, this year with Lincoln, man, they had 3 losses early, and they haven't lost here for a long while. Their best players, I think she's their best player. They have a lot of really good players, but number 5, our Jayla Elder, she's just a sophomore. She's 5'9", really good player. Grace Spencer is a 5'10" junior who's a really good player. And number 32, Tiana Sadler, she moved in around December, and they haven't lost since she has been there. She's a good, a bigger kid, a taller guard. She can play guard or inside in the post position and does both of those well. And so obviously they're a really good team. La Vega, Coach Willis has done a good job with them. With, his daughter is a senior, and she made the all regional team. I saw that the regional tournament MVP was number 2, and which is the 5'5" senior Par, the guard, and that she's going to Wichita State, I believe. And number 12 was also all tournament in that regional tournament. And so I think with them, winning it all last year and really having a lot of people back, I think on this one, I'm going to go with La Vega. Although I think I really think it's going to be a good game, and I really think it could go either way.
Mm-hmm. Coach Prevost, what are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, Coach McDill did a great job. I don't know if I can add anything other than a bullet points on the schedule with La Vega. I talked to Coach Marcus before today. He's a good friend of mine, and we had a chance to visit. The one thing that I brought up to him was his schedule. He told me that he wanted the schedule tough. He had Duncanville twice, San Antonio Clark, he played Timberview. He beat Hebron, he lost to Hebron, he played Liberty. That right there sets the table for championship basketball. He wasn't afraid to go out and play the big schools. And Coach said it best, the far kid is dynamic. Oh my God. The one that's going to Wichita State. And then his daughter, of course, runs the show. Love La Vega. Like him as a coach. The coach at Lincoln, Coach Greer, Ashley, she also had a tough schedule. I think that plays a part in preparing the road to San Antonio. She had Princeton, who made it to the regional final. She played Lancaster. She played Red Oak. She played 6A Humble here. Just really good. La Vega's proven that they can play the big ones and be in the big game, but Lincoln's got history. Should be a good one.
Okay. Coach Sarten, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I really think this game is going to be a really fun game. I think it's going to be a lot like Shallowater and Rains. I think it's going to be up and down the floor. Both super athletic teams, both really confident teams, aggressive, unafraid, and just go-getters. And I like that kind of basketball. I'm tiny, so I like feisty players. And so I think it's going to come down to like who has the ball the last possession. And I don't know. I like both of these coaches. I think the Lincoln coach is a great guy. I think he's an alumni. I think that kind of plays a role into like how much they want it to. I think La Vega is a great team. I'm going to kind of go with maybe the underdog. I think Lincoln wins this one. So.
Yeah. That's good information. I appreciate that. Coach Lincoln, you may have to unmute yourself. I had to mute everybody for a second. You may have to unmute. So let's get your thoughts on this one.
Okay, I'm hearing what everybody else said. I'm excited to watch this one as well. It sounds like both teams are really good, great coaches. Just gonna have to go with Waco La Vega from the experience that they have, and I can't wait to see it.
Yep. Okay. Well, I watched a little bit of this Region 2 this weekend when I had some free time, and I got to see it. And again, Lincoln is definitely battle tested. They've played some good teams, and as Coach McDill said, played early. I noticed that Coach Greer wasn't on the sideline for this regional tournament. I don't know what's happening with that, but I hope he's able to be back and coach his team. But I did notice that it looked like his assistants were running that, and so I sure hope that there's nothing that's going to affect them too negatively on that. But they've had a good run, and they haven't lost in a while. They've got a lot of depth, and anytime you get a move in midseason of that caliber, I mean, man, you got to take advantage of that. You got to do that. That's Tiana Sadler's a great player, and the fact that she was able to get in, that's great. And so that's a deep team, and they beat some good teams, and they're definitely battle tested. And then Waco La Vega, definitely, they are definitely, as Coach Prevost attested, that's a tough non-district schedule. Some good victories out of this non-district schedule that they had. I mean, they put some good tournaments. Just a couple notes. There's a couple games where you see that they lost pretty big. I believe they had an ineligible player at one point, but they've been able to overcome that. It looks like on the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th, they had someone there that wasn't there, but it looks like they've overcome that, and they continue to roll through the playoffs as they are predicted to do. But they've got a good team, and like you said, Coach Willis has done a great job this year. And I hate that this is a first round game. I really hate that. I'm sure Bernie and Canyon are pretty excited not to have to see them first, but I'm sure they hate that they're having to play each other right now. So we'll jump to this second semifinal, and this is going to be our 3:30 or 3 o'clock game. Bernie at 34-4. This is their fifth appearance at the state tournament, and I guess it's 4 of the last 5 years, I think, or 4 of the last 6. Amy Rudy, excuse me, I want to make sure I said that right. Is it Rude or Rudy? Do we know that?
I think it's Rudy.
Oh, that's right, Rudy. Okay, she's done a great job. And then we've got Tate Lombard and Canyon. This is their ho-hum
200th
appearance. They're 29-6. So, as we were kind of looking at that at the 4A mark, the 4 teams that have a combined of 57 state tournament appearances. So this is definitely 4 teams that have been here before and know how to do this. So, Coach Lincoln, let's let you lead off of this one, Bernie and Canyon.
Okay, that's a lot of experience. 4A is probably one of I guess, more fun to watch teams. They're a little bit smaller than the big ones. I don't know much about them, but I know Canyon is just amazing. Been there, done that many, many times. So I really honestly don't know about the boring, but I'm going with Canyon just because how many times they've just been there and the expectations that they have.
Okay. Coach Sarten, let's get your thoughts on this one.
I think Bernie is a great team. I think that they're big. I feel like they're very solid. And they've played really well throughout the state tournament. But Canyon, I mean, it's just having the Lombards, like, it's hard to beat. And it really is, like, I think that they're just legends. And Canyon, I feel like they're a young team, but I feel like they're really starting to play very well. They're shooting really well. From that team, I think that Tate told me they graduated 8 seniors last year, and so they only have 3 returning kids, and 2 of those are starters. Number 4, Sydney Winfrey, she's returning. I love her. Her older sisters have played for the Lombards, and so she knows that system, and she knows what it takes. 21, Jaylee Moss is their leading scorer. I think they're great. And I mean, to beat Glen Rose, everybody thought Glen Rose was going to be the winner out of Region 1. And Canyon, man, they find a way. He has playmakers. They're smart. Basketball comes down to a couple of possessions, and I feel like Canyon always wins those most important possessions. So I'm going to have to go with Canyon on this one.
Yeah. Coach Prevost.
Oh, man. While listening to Coach talk, I just want to say this, when you mentioned Canyon, you mentioned Tate, and, she's right. They only got 3 seniors, but the unique thing about their team, 8 sophomores. So that says that they got, the road to get back. It looks bright. The Winfrey kid, seen her, she's dynamic. One thing about a Canyon. If it's close, I mean, they're going to be very well coached, and they're going to have possessions and play it out. So with the win over Glen Rose, 47-37, everyone thought Glen Rose would get back, had all those, height and length and all that. And Canyon just do what Canyon does, so what a great team that is. And then, Bernie with Coach Root, you're right. She's got 4 seniors, got tournament experience. They were there last year. They're big. I mean, they're 6 foot. Shelby Porter. They got Avery Aaron, a little point guard, and McKenna Randall. I mean, just a very well coached team that's been there 4 times in a row. That'll be a good game. I think it's a toss up.
Okay, Coach McDill.
So I think this one will be a great game. I really do. So Bernie was at the state tournament last year. Amy Rudy does a great job with them. Avery Aaron, the 6'1" post that a couple of people have talked about, she's going to Louisiana Tech. And, they split with Fredericksburg in district, and I was kind of keeping up with that one yesterday. And they were down by 8 going into the 4th quarter and just battled and ended up winning that 31-29. So it sounds like that was a defensive battle. And then, then Canyon turns around and beats the team that's been number 1 in the state all year, Glen Rose, 47-37. And the article I read about that, I watched that one online as well, said that 1 senior played in the game, for them. And that Glen Rose had won 72 of their last 77 games. So that was just a huge win, of course. But Jaylee Moss had a quote in that article, like this was kind of their revenge tour, and they knew it had to go through Glen Rose. So they were ready for that game. Sydney Winfrey, like y'all mentioned, was the tournament MVP of the region, had 15 points and 10 rebounds. She was awesome in that game. And so this is a tough one because of Bernie's experience, but I don't know that I can bet against the Lombard, so I'm going to go with Canyon.
Yeah, as we've already said this, I mean, Lincoln and La Vega, they probably hate playing each other. I'm sure Canyon and Bernie the same way. This is not going to be fun. Bernie, again, I'll echo what Coach McDill said. They had that close game with Fredericksburg. Was it 2 times or 3 times? And so they had to beat them in that regional final. And Bernie's done what they're supposed to do. Every challenge they've had in front of them, they've beaten and they've taken care of. And the kid that going to La Tech, good inside presence. This is going to be I think a physical, grinded defensive battle. I think that could be a really good game. And then Canyon, I think I read something at one point when they lost to Randall on January 5th. I think it was I can't remember exactly what it said. I don't want to get fact checked here, but like that was their first loss to them in some time, or maybe it was the first time they were not in first place, and then they just went on a tear, and then they've won, and I think there's a few things in life you don't do, and I don't think you make a Lombard upset or you make a Lombard have to do something, because at that point, poor Pampa, Hereford, Dumas, it started rolling, and so kudos to taking what they've done in the playoffs, beating a good Seminole team. Golly, Tri Danley put up some points this year. A good Decatur team, and then to stop Amy Flippin and what Ramsey's done there, and that's incredible. It's going to be a good game, and I agree. I think we have a good set of matchups on the 4A side. Our last set of semifinals before we get to talking about finals is we've got 6A time. We've got our 7:00 game. It's Humble Summer Creek. Coach Donnie Ott, this is his first season there. This is the 3rd appearance to state, record of 35-3, going up against Duncanville and Coach Ford. And I believe this is his first full season, and this is their ho-hum 27th appearance at 33-4. Coach Prevost, this is 6A time. Let's let you kick it off.
Oh, well, wow. I'm trying to keep this short because this is, my neck of the woods with having to play Summer Creek twice this year. And when Donnie got that job, you always want someone that just in the scheme of good coaches, replacing good coaches. And, Carlisa Dixon done a great job there and got Summer Creek to where it is. And Donnie comes in there with a a senior laden team. He's got 8 seniors. And he did what he's supposed to do. He's got them to the state tournament. You know, they beat Hightower, who beat myself. It was just an unbelievable battle down the stretch. Our region, a lot like the South Grand Prairie region up in that area there with DeSoto, Duncanville, South Grand Prairie, South Springs. We like to think that down here. Donnie does just a great job with Summer Creek. He's got Kennedy Simpson as point guard. Lefty can go. Z Perkins, as we call it, going to Rutgers, 6'3". I mean, she just wants to get paid. She wants the ball in big time, big moments. Mariah Brown, I think, is one of the best undersized post players around, 5'11", 6 feet. I mean, she just gets it out of the dirt. And then Janiyah Murphy, really, really good team. It'll be a great matchup. And then Duncanville, Coach Ford, he's good friends with my assistant, Derek Daniels from Stop 6 in Fort Worth. Had a chance to talk to him today. The thing about Duncanville, you got to remember last year they were told to sit home because of the prior situations. And their whole deal, the whole season, they were playing angry with a chance to get back, you know, to beat the DeSotos and to do what they've done this season and do it the way that they've done. It speaks a lot about Coach Ford, who was already in the building. He was a boys assistant. And what a smart move on them to get someone right next door to help coach that team. And I just think that game is going to be exactly the same. Summer Creek has the inside dominance. They got, 6'3", 6'2", 6'1", but Duncanville's got some guards, which is they always have had. So it's going to be a great game. I'm glad I'll have a tableside view. I don't want to pick that because they're both good friends of mine. Donnie's a really, really good friend of mine. And we're 3 miles apart. So, and then my sister is good friends with the coach from Duncanville. So I have to be, I'm going down the middle of the road on this one, but it should be a great game.
Awesome. Thank you. Coach McDill, what are your thoughts on this one?
So I think this will be another, great matchup. I know Duncanville has Mariah Clayton, Chloe Mann, both averaging close to 14 and 13.5 points a game. Beat DeSoto there in the regional finals. And again, Coach Ford has done a really good job, like Art just said. And I think that Coach Ott does a great job. I've called him several times over the years just to ask questions and learn from him. So, and they've played a tough schedule as well. Both have very similar records. So I think this one is a toss up. I mean, honestly, it's tough for me to pick one or the other on this one. Do I get to say that?
Yeah. But in the finals, you have to make a call. But yes,
okay.
All right, Coach Sarten, what are your thoughts on this one?
I agree with what both coaches have said, Coach Prevost and Coach McDill. I think I love Donnie Ott. He's great. He is so helpful and always willing to share so much. I think he's a great coach, and I think that he does a really good job of building relationships. And I think that is huge for team success. And so I think he's a great guy. Duncanville, we mentioned earlier about Canyon having like a revenge tour. I kind of feel like Duncanville is having that this year too. And so I think it's going to be a great matchup. I always say like a tie is a loss. So I don't want to say I don't know who is going to win. I don't want to go against Coach Ott because I think he's great, but I do think Duncanville is going to win this one.
Okay. Coach Lincoln.
Same as all the coaches before. Duncanville has a lot to prove. They're probably upset about everything, ready to get after it. I love Coach Ott. I think he's a great coach. I think it's gonna be a great matchup. I'm going with Coach Ott because I just have a little bit more faith in his program.
I'll say this, Duncanville, I know Coach McDill mentioned Chloe Mann did a phenomenal job, but I don't want to say the quadrant of Mariah Clayton, Asia Smith, Tristan James, and Kirsten Russell. These are 4 bigs that own the paint, and dare you come in? No, I think it's a shot blocking machine down there. I think they do a really good job on the defensive side. I think Coach Ford has done a good job putting his style and his twist on the Duncanville legacy. Again, battle tested again, playing some good teams like La Vega, who's down here, and they split with DeSoto and ended up beating them a third time. They're they're having to run through some people that that their tournament over Christmas, they played some good teams. They actually had a pretty good stretch there. Man, they're loaded. They do a really good job. And I don't think Duncanville needs any extra motivation, but you're right. All the coaches prior saying that they want this bad, because I think the expectation is that Duncanville is at state and that win state. Donnie's done a phenomenal job taking over, like we said, for Carlisa, and has done a good job. He's went out and played the teams he's needed to play. He went out and played a good Amarillo team. He went and played Duncanville already this year. San Antonio Clark, the defending state champs on the 5A or 6A side. South Lake Carroll got a little Liberty action. I think both teams know what you have to do at that level. And you've got so many good high performing athletes at the 6A level that you've got to make sure you're ready. And, we all know that to get to the state tournament, you've got to have a little bit of luck. And these teams have put themselves in the best position. And you're right. It's going to be a good game, coaches. Good game. Our last semifinal that we have is South Grand Prairie out of the Metroplex. Brian Raven, this is his second appearance, and it's the team's overall third. Actually, I guess it's all three of them have been his. 32-3 record going against Northside Brennan from San Antonio. This is Jacqueline Contreras' 32-3 team, their third appearance at state, first time in about 10 years. So their 10-year team will get to be able to be here at this year just to remember what that's like. So Coach Sarten, let's lead us off on this matchup, SGP and Brennan.
South Grand Prairie, man, they're just athletic and they're long. They're aggressive defensively, and they also have a lot of offensive threats. They have a great team. Just like three standouts to me. Number 23, Talia Parker. She's a 6-foot guard. She's committed to A&M. Number 11, Erica Carr. She's 6'3". She's their inside player. She's committed to San Diego. And then number 3, Taylor Barnes. She's 6 foot as well, a forward. I think she's their best player. And she hasn't committed yet. And I feel like he does a really good job of making everybody else on his team find value in their roles. And so I feel like they've played really well together. Brennan, they have like the same record, 32-3. And so I think it'll be a good game, but I think SGP has more experience, and I think that they're going to come out on top in this game.
Coach Lincoln, what are your thoughts on this one?
I feel the same way. I don't know anything about the San Antonio down in that area. Heard a lot of good stuff of Grand Prairie, so I think they're very athletic. I'm going to go with them.
Okay, Coach McDill.
So, talking about South Grand Prairie, Coach Raven's done a great job. I mean, 2 of their 3 losses are to Timberview. And so, and then they lost to Sierra Canyon as well. So, in really looking at it, they have been to the state tournament. This is their 3rd time in 4 years, and they haven't won it yet. So, I feel like they win this. They win this first one, and then they're trying to battle to win the first one after just getting there a few times.
Yes, that's a good point. Very good point. Coach Prevost, why don't you wrap us up on this one?
Well, I think the one caveat that is kind of a tip to the hat for Coach Raven is his 6'7" kid left at Christmas and went to South Carolina. Adele, and left at midseason, and he told me, speaking to him today, that she's still in their group chats, she's still involved with that, and the team just kind of bonded after that. They just decided that we're going to stick together, and the coaches brought up Parker, who's going to A&M, and Barnes, who is one of the top recruited juniors in the country. But he said that the glue is those two, Barnes and Parker. They go as those two go. But I think it's dynamic that he loses a 6'7" shot blocker and inside presence, and they just keep it rolling. So hats off to him and the coaching job that he's doing there. And then Brennan had a chance to talk. Coach Jackie Contreras has done just a fantastic job. Kind of like Coach McDill, who's been at Sunnyvale. I don't know how long Jill's been there, but when you can have longevity at a place and build some tradition, that's amazing. And she's done that. She's got Our best player is Bella Flemings, who had 47 in the finals. I mean, last I checked, 47 you can beat some teams with. So, and just can go get them. And the neat thing is, her brother is the top-rated junior point guard in the state, in the state of Texas. So you're talking about a team and some kids that have been very well coached. They do a 2-2-1 full court. They play a little 2-3 zone if need be. They want to shoot the threes. I just think that's going to be a phenomenal game. Two well-coached teams, and what a great 6A matchup it's going to be. And I look forward, once again, to having the best seat in the house, and that's on the floor.
Just to that point, not only did she hit 47, she had 47 against Clark, who was the defending state champion. So, that's a huge game. I don't know if that game went in overtime or not, but that's phenomenal. And just continuing on with Brennan, Taylor Ross, number 13. This kid she's a very good 3-point shooter. You want to see this kid jump. She can jump out of the gym. They've got a really good combo there. Brennan's played some tough teams. They beat a good Westlake team in the semifinals. They beat Clark in the finals. They've taken care of business. They beat Cedar Park, who's also down here. And let's not forget, this is going to be a home game for Brennan. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of Brennan. What are they? The Bears are going to be a lot of black and gold in the Alamo Dome, and you guarantee that'll be a fun one. Brian has done a phenomenal job at SGP, and you can see his non-district opponents playing teams that, if they're not here, that they've been in the regional tournament, they were very close. They played Timberview, La Vega. They're both here. Beat a good Southlake team, a good Boswell team out of Fort Worth. That just, you do what you have to do to win. And he's developed a culture and a program there, and being here 3 times in 4 years, as Coach McDill says, he wants to get over that hump really, really bad. So that's going to be a good game. All right. So let's talk a little bit about finals. We've previewed these first 2 days. We're just going to do this really quick. We don't have to have a big synopsis. I'm going to ask each one of these coaches. We'll just go 1A through 6A, but not in that order. We'll just do it by the time when it happens. The 1A final is going to be at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday. And so we'll go through this, coaches. I'll just ask you who you think is going to be in the finals and who you think is going to come out on top. So, Coach Lincoln, let's start out with you for the 1A final. Who do you think is going to be in the final, and who are you picking for that state champion?
I think Natchez will be the state champion.
Okay. And who do you think they're going to beat? Who will they beat in the finals?
Now remind me the other 2.
We got Newcastle and Westbrook in the first game, and Valley and Natchez in the second game.
Valley.
All right. So Natchez will beat Valley in the 1A game. All right. Coach Sarten, what are your thoughts on 1A?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I think it'll be Valley and Newcastle. And I think Valley takes it.
Okay. Valley over Newcastle. Coach Prevost.
I'm gonna go the same thing. I can't wait to see Turkey Valley play. I've called around, and I love Andy. He's my friend, but I just wanted to see Turkey Valley. I think Newcastle. I think Valley will win it.
All right, Coach McDill.
I'm going Newcastle against Natchez, and I'm going to go with Natchez. I'm going to say Natchez wins it.
All right. Well, at very least, this is 19 state championships between them all. I think this is going to be good. I think Valley's a very good team. Being the moderator, you don't get to make the pick, but I think Valley's a good team. I think Natchez is good. I think Newcastle, I think we have 4 good teams, but I think this is going to be a good one. Let's go to the 3A final. It's going to be at 10 o'clock. Let's get your final predictions and then the winner. Coach Prevost, let's talk about 3A. Who do you have in the final and who do you have winning?
I have it being Huntington versus Rains, and I think Emory Rains is going to win it.
Rains is going to take it. Okay. Coach Lincoln, who do you have in 3A?
Same, Huntington and Rains, and I think Huntington.
All right. So we got a little different of opinion there. Coach Sarten, what do you think?
I would agree. I think it's going to be Huntington and Rains, and I think Rains takes it.
Okay. Coach McDill.
That's what I have as well. Huntington against Rains, with Rains winning it.
Wow. Okay. I think that Shallowater Reigns game will be a good matchup. I don't think, Lee Corso, I don't think we got to sleep on Shallowater a little bit. I think they might have a shot at that. I think Huntington is going to do a good job as well. So I think that could be a potential matchup. That's good. Let's go 2A final. 2A final is going to be at 1:30 p.m. 2A, we've got the 4 teams: Goldthwaite, Martins Mill, Nakona, Wellington. Let's see, Coach McDill, let's lead off with you. Let's tell me who you think will be in the finals and who will be your winner.
Okay, I have Martins Mill against Nakona, with Nakona winning it.
Nakona winning it. All right, let's go, Coach Prevost.
Same deal. Echo the exact same.
Nakona is going to beat Martins Mill. All right, Coach Lincoln.
I'm going with the same two, but I got to go with Bruce. I'm going to go with Martins Mill.
Mill, going with the Mill. Okay, Coach Sarten, who's your pick in this?
Same two, and I think it's Nakona.
Wow. All right. This panel is, they know what they know. They know what they know. That's good. I can't sleep on Little Region 1. I think Wellington's going to have a say, and I think Goldthwaite, I'm telling you, they may scare some people. These are good picks. I like this panel. 5A time, 5A. Coach Sarten, let's give me who your finalists are and who's going to be your winner.
I think it's Liberty versus Timberview. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I'm going with Ross. I think it's gonna be a tough game, but you can't ever bet against Ross, I feel like.
Okay. Coach McDill, who do you have in this 5A final?
I have Liberty against Timberview, with Timberview winning.
Okay. All right. We got to switch there. All right. Coach Prevost.
Liberty versus Timberview, and I'm going with my 25-year friendship with Kit.
All right.
I got to stick with her.
Timberview winning. Coach Lincoln.
Liberty and Timberview as well, and I think Liberty.
All right. 2 of each. Whew, man, that's good.
You're the tiebreaker, Brad.
Yeah.
He's going to go straight
He's
down
going
the
with
middle.
Timberview.
I love Ross. I do. He's had him some, but I think Kit's team is not going to be denied this year. I think Timberview will beat Liberty in the finals. I do. Sorry, Ross. Don't watch this. All right.
You won't be allowed back in Frisco.
Our 4A game, 4A final at 7:00. We've got Lincoln, La Vega, Bernie, and Canyon. Let's see, who am I going with here? Let's go with Coach Prevost here on this one.
Man, oh man. Oh my God. Love La Vega, of course, love Willis, and Tate. It's gonna be those two in the finals. I think I may try to go out and officiate that one, use my officiating deal. See if I can get on the floor. I don't know. I'm gonna say La Vega. I think that when you play the schedule that they play, it's going to show. So I'm going to say La Vega, 2-time champion.
Who did you have them against?
Over Canyon.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's go, Coach Lincoln. What are your thoughts on this one?
La Vega and Canyon and Canyon.
All right. Coach Sarten.
Well, earlier I said I thought Lincoln would win. So I feel like I have to keep them. So I'm gonna say Canyon versus Lincoln. And I think Canyon wins.
Okay. Coach McDill.
I'm going to say La Vega against Canyon, and Canyon wins.
Okay. All right. That's
when's that game? What time? Friday, Saturday?
7:00 Saturday.
Okay.
That's again, that's 4 very good teams. That's very good. All right. 6A final, the last one. We've got Summer Creek, Duncanville, South Grand Prairie, and San Antonio Brennan. Let's go, Coach Sarten. Who's your pick in this one?
I think it's gonna be Duncanville and South Grand Prairie. And I think Duncanville wins.
All right. Coach McDill.
That's what I have as well. Duncanville against South Grand Prairie, and Duncanville wins.
All right. Coach Lincoln.
Same two, but I'm going to go with South Grand Prairie.
South Grand Prairie over the Ville. Okay. Coach Prevost.
Oh my God. I'm going Summer Creek and SGP, and I would not be able to pass Summer Creek High School in my truck if I don't pick Summer Creek. They may put some stuff in the road because I have to pass their high school along the way to my school. But I just love the culture, what they do there. And we've kind of emulated a lot of that this year. And we had a good year based upon some of the stuff I've learned from Summer Creek. So I'm gonna go with Creek. I'm gonna go with Summer Creek.
Well, coaches, I really do appreciate this. I look forward to a good state tournament this weekend. I hope to see all you there and everybody that's watching this. And I hope that we gave some insight to these semifinal and final games. We look forward to a good tournament this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Again, for Coach Prevost, Coach Sarten, Coach McDill, Coach Lincoln, I'm Brad Blalock. Thank y'all for joining this TGCA Zoom, and we'll see you in San Antonio. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Coach, see y'all there. Have a good one.
See ya.
Yeah.